Okay, lesson 3, we're going to produce 3 ideas for our point of sales display. If you don't have your booklet, which I don't here, we're just using a piece of blank paper, so any paper will do. Ideally, we want to be using your isometric grid paper. If you don't have this, then you can use a set square that looks like this, a 60-degree set square, to construct your crate. If you don't have one of these, there's a video on the first video on this playlist which shows you how you can make your own set square in order to be able to draw it in 3D. So I'm going to use the grid paper for now. So if I line this up, so on the sheet you should have here, if you're using your booklet, you'll have a column with the criteria which you need to be using, and there'll be a little section for annotations which will be in the second video clip, lesson 4. So first of all, I just want to plan it out. So I want to produce an idea around about here. I'm going to do another one here and one around this area here. So I'm going to start off with a basic shape. So if I pick my lowest point, so just like you did in year 7, we're going to draw out a crate. So I've got my vertical line 30 degrees to the left and 30 degrees to the right. I could then make it a square prism. So I might say, well, this is going to be 3 centimeters. This is going to be 3 centimeters here. I'm going to draw a vertical line, keeping it parallel with this vertical line. I've got another vertical line, pick the height, and then I'm going to draw a 30-degree line to the left and a 30-degree line to the right over here. And if I bring them back on themselves, 30 degrees and then 30 degrees. So you could have it so it has a top here, or you could have it transparent, so as in a hole. So I could draw a vertical line here so it looks like you can go into the object. So that could be my first idea. The second one, I might do the same. This time for speed, I'm just going to sketch this one. So I might draw it 30 degrees, vertical. I might go a bit further actually on the side, go vertical, 30 degrees, and then bring it back on itself at 30 degrees, something like that. But this time I might want it to be a bit more different. So I might make it more like a triangular prism. So if I pick a halfway point here and then go corner to corner on this side like that, a bit like what we did with the roof in year 7. If I make it transparent, send that bit down, project that down to here, and then send that across. And then I might see a slither of that corner there, so it looks like you can go into the top. So all of this, I'll eventually rub this bit out on the side. So that's my second idea. And then my third idea, I'm going to draw the crate. So this time I've got a 30-degree line, I've got a vertical, 30 degrees, 30 degrees, 30 degrees, 30 degrees. So this one I'm going to be a bit more ambitious with this one. So I'm going to make it transparent, but I want it to curve. So I'm going to come up the side, I'm going to curve it over and down here. So I've got this arc in that square or that rectangle. The same on this one, I want to mimic that, I want it the same on this side. And I'm going to connect those up there on the edge. So I could have a flat base here, or I might decide I'm going to have something called a tie, which connects the two. So I've got a tie that goes across here, and I've got my little gluing tab. So this bit, I'll remove this, I'll rub that bit out. So I've got a piece of paper that's curved over with a piece of paper that connects on the inside so it doesn't go completely flat. The next phase then, which is on the criteria, is have you produced 3 2D nets. So what does this look like? We know what it looks like in 3D, but what does it look like in its 2D form? Well, at the moment I've got 3 rectangles, so you just have to spatially try and envisage what it might look like. Now, if you get this wrong, it doesn't matter, but it's just encouraging you to start to think about the 2D form, because the way we're going to design this is it's got to be in 2D, and then we'll make it in 3D. So I've got one fold here, I've got another fold, and another fold, and this one needs to be a fold. So there's my gluing tab, and these are my 4 panels. So this should make that. If I was doing this one, I've got a slightly longer back, and I've got 2 shorter sides with this one. So similar to that design here, it looks the same. So I've got a piece of cardboard, looks like this. I'm going to have a gluing tab along one side here. So I'm using a dashed line to represent folds. And then if I'm looking at this section, the back of it would be longer, like that, and then the 2 sides would look something like that. Okay, so that would be the net that makes this. And then finally this one's a bit tricky. Well, it's not trickier, but it's got more like a rectangle, which looks like this, but then it has a separate part. So the separate part is another rectangle, smaller one, like that. Don't worry too much about sizes just yet, we're going to come to that on the next lesson. and then we're going to draw a gluing tab here and a gluing tab here on that side. So that's the first phase. So all we need to do now is try and enhance them. So a couple of techniques you can use. So the first one is obviously we'd like to go over the lines you want to keep with a fine liner. Now if you don't have a fine liner, you can use a biro that you might, black biro that you might use to write with your other lessons. They're quite useful because you can press on faintly with them, which gives you your thin line, and then you can press on a bit harder and it might give you a thicker line as well. You may have some felt tips at home. If you don't have any, if all else fails, if you don't have any of those, then you could just use your pencil, but just press on that little bit harder. So I'm not using my ruler just for speed, but you may choose to use your ruler. So I'm trying to stay on the line. If I feel like I'm wandering off, I'm just repositioning my wrist so that I can then stay on the line, so I don't curve the line. So as it goes along here, there we go. We did this in year 7. So once I've done that, I may choose to do thick and thin line technique. So ideally, actually, I want to ink these in as well. So I'll just do this one. So I would ink this in with a dash line. So any lines that I intend to cut eventually for my net, I'm going to do them as a solid line, and any line that I intend to fold, I'm going to do them as a dash line. There we go, down the side. So the next thing I could do is something called thick and thin line technique. So we did this in year 7. So imagine that you've got a spider or a bug crawling over it. If that spider can go over the line and hide, then we do it thick. So the general rule is all the way around the outside is going to be thick on your drawing. So you could leave it like that if you want to, but if we're trying to communicate the form or the shape of it, the spider could go underneath this line here. So this one would all be thick. So it's giving the impression you can go underneath there. The spider, if it went either side of this line, still visible, so we keep that thin, but it could go underneath that section. If it went either side of this gluing tab, it would still be visible, so we keep that one thin. So the same with this one, all the way around the outside, but if I'm trying to illustrate or communicate that that's a hole in the top, this line is going to be thick, and this line is going to be thick, and it can go around the back there, but all the other lines will be thin. I'd still see them. So the last one, if I went around this one, all the way around the outside, again, if I'm trying to communicate that this is a hole in the top, that one's going to be thick as well. Other techniques you can use to enhance the form or the shape of the surface of it is we can hatch. So if my light source is coming this way, you may choose to do a single hatch like this. So I'm just hatching parallel diagonal lines on the dark surfaces. You could choose to just hatch the corners. So this time I'm just double hatching to kind of communicate that it's an opaque surface, like not see-through. And on this one, if you want to, you could do with your pencil, we could just do some shading and then fade that. So you can just press on a little bit with your pencil and then rub it with your finger on the side. You can put it in situ on the situation as well. So we could put a little shadow underneath here and a series of virtual hatches to try and place that. Or you could do a block colour. So somewhere on your drawing where it's complicated, you can draw an abstract shape. I wouldn't do this on all of your ideas, and then you can block colour it. It doesn't have to be black, it could be a colour, but what it does is it just contrasts the background against your design, so it stands out against the white background. And sometimes as well you can use this to mask a mistake, so you can just block colour that or hatch it in. There we go, something like that. And then finally, if you want to, you could always just shade underneath there. Just press on hard. There we go. So just to summarize, so in this session to begin with, we're just looking at producing 3 ideas, 3 nets. We're then applied a finish to the outside or the lines, and then we've applied a finish to the surface of them. So the next lesson we're going to look at annotations and then what size they could be.